Craig, have you driven through Wemco Road lately?
Oh yes, I pass through it every day and every single night. The road is so
smooth
and the streets so beautifully illuminated at night. Driving on it makes me feel like I've been transported to a high street in London.
Imagine every street, every road in Lagos that's sound and beautiful, and the neighborhood with its own bus rapid transit BRT service. The rail, the road, sea transport, all connected to give Lagosians the perfect travel experience, and the intelligent transportation system, the norm.
Well, for now I can imagine, but down the line, I won't have to. You know why?
Tell me.
Because Lagos State, with the transportation system of a first world city, will be our collective experience. And Lamata is all hands on deck to make this come to pass. And that's what we're looking at today on the show. Promoting optimized transportation systems for Lagos. I am Obafemi Craig.
I am Kate Harmony. First, we take the news highlights.
Welcome and thank you for joining us on the news highlight on Lamata FR. The need for public transport operators to ensure that their vehicles are motorable all year round has been reiterated by the Managing Director of Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority Lamata, Dr. Dayo Mobiriola. He said during an interview that the major challenge public transport faced in Lagos and indeed Nigeria was maintenance culture, and called for a change of attitudes towards maintenance of public transport buses and other facilities. Dr. Mobriella said profit should not be the first motive of offering public transportation, but an efficient and effective service to the people. He assured that Lamata will continue to work for the creation of a world-class transport system for Lagos. The Lamata boss also stressed the need for the private sector to invest in public transportation, since return on invest in mass transport was huge, saying the government and the private sector should partner for an efficient public transportation delivery to the people. The Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority Lamata has warned against cutting of roads without first taking official authorization. In a statement, it said all the roads constructed by the agency were provided with ducts for water pipes, electric cables, and telecommunication cables. It said illegal cutting of roads usually shorten the lifespan of such roads. It warned that anyone caught cutting roads recently rehabilitated by the agency will be rearrested and prosecuted according to law. And that ends the news highlight.
Basically, what Lamata does is to coordinate public transportation in Lagos State, and we came up with a transport master plan.
Developed together with the World Bank, the objective of this plan is finding long-lasting solutions for the problem of transportation in Lagos. Currently under its first steps of development, the plan has already proven itself a big success, dramatically increasing the connectivity in a city in continuous expansion and enjoying an unparalleled demographic and economic growth.
Our responsibility is to ensure that we provide the necessary infrastructure to meet the growth, to improve the quality of life, to improve the standard of living, and to make Lagos a vibrant and livable city in years to come.
Lamata, keeping Lagos moving.
Thank you for joining us again. Lately, you've been sending messages by text, emails, and social media commending Lamata's work on road rehabilitation, transport provision, and the rail project. But all that is just a tiny piece of the iceberg compared to where we're going.
And transportation in cities of the future will be computerized. The business of moving you from place to place will be swift, comfortable, affordable, and safe. And best of all, you can plan your rail, road and sea journeys with an application on your computer or phone before you leave home in the morning.
And the Lagos State government, through Lamata, is hard at work to make this the experience and the culture of transportation in our mega city. And how sure are we that we can achieve this lofty ambition? The journey of 1,000 mile begins with a step. And here at Lamata, we've taken a few hundreds towards accomplishing this.
Lagos, my home. With Lamata, Lagos is changing for the best.
Dr. Frederick Olaidende knows better and can explain more richly. He's a technical advisor at Transport Planning Lamata and best suited to walk us through this plan. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Olaidende.
Thank you very much.
The Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Lamata, has been informing about intermodal integrated transport system. Future cities like Lagos need to fulfill some basic criteria such as sustainability, good qualities of life, and efficient integrated transport system, among others. Now, how does this plan on ground meet the criteria set out for future cities?
First of all, what the customer wants is value for money from our transport system. So the plan actually highlights infrastructure that actually improves the environment rather than harm the environment. And it does that by promoting or advocating an integrated multimodal public transport system that gives people options. Options such as the rail system, the BLT, and the non-motorized system because people have to get to the stations, etc. Now, one thing I want to, people need to know is that large difference in income level and social disparity characterize our city. And so we have a phenomenon where we have a city within a city. Yeah. So for example, Alimosho is a city, Lekki is a city, you have Amuwodofe. And these different communities have different mobility needs. And it's very important that we understand what each community needs. And what we have done in the plan is to take on board what they want to see in our transport system, and then bring them all together in an integrated fashion so that we eradicate what we call social exclusion, so that everybody can now have access to the transport network and participate in some kind of economic activities that they still wish to do.
So when you talk about optimized transportation for Lagos, what do you mean? What does it entail?
Optimized transport in the context of Lagos means enhancing, we want a transport system that enhances the economy of Lagos State. And by that, I mean that we want to see people spend less time in traffic and more time doing something more productive. We want to see our goods move from one point to the other as efficiently as possible so that our economy can be very competitive with the rest of the cities in the world. And that way investors can come in. Now, secondly, in an optimized system, you want to ensure that the system reduces poverty. And by that, I mean improve access to every community so that everybody can have access to that community and move from one point to the other.
That's
thirdly,
connectivity.
That's correct. Thirdly, the system must be affordable to everyone, and not just to the rich, for the rich and not the poor. And lastly, we want to ensure that we improve the quality of life of everybody. And by that, we mean that the transport system should reduce the amount of carbon emission emitted per day so that we don't jeopardize the future of the next generation coming. And that's actually one of the definitions of sustainability. So it's very important that the system that we're providing to Lagos is sustainable. It's something that other generations would, pick up from and then you further develop it rather than, truncate it and then look for other ways of moving around.
Yeah.
So that's very important for us.
So how does this tag with the transport master plan?
When you look at the programs that we've rolled out so far, programs such as the Blue Line, you will see that everything that we're doing is geared towards reducing travel time. For example, the Okokomaiko to Marina corridor takes about 2 hours or more. But with the Blue Line in place, it's going to take about 37 minutes. So that's cutting about 1.5 hours. You look at the BLT line that we're constructing from Ikorodu to Mile 12. It takes over an hour
More
to
than
get
that,
to, in fact, more than that, to get to mile 12. But with the BLT in place, it would take about 30 minutes to get to mile 12 from Ikorodu. Apart from that, we've introduced, I think 2 years ago, we introduced the Lagos Connect card, which would enable people to, have one ticket and then access so many modes of transport rather than buying tickets for different modes, and that aids integration. So we want people to move seamlessly from one mode to the other without having to look for change, etc. And that way we reduce the cost of transportation. Also, it's important that we give people options to travel, and I'll give you an example. The current crisis going on today, where there's shortage of petrol.
Okay.
And every corners where you have petrol station, there's a lot of go slow.
Yeah.
Now, I travel from Oregon to Lekki every day. And for the past 3 days, it's been taking me about 2 hours just to get home. And one day I sat down in my car and I thought to myself, if only we had a rail corridor, along the Lekki.
Along that corridor.
I wouldn't be in the car. I would just
leave your
switch
car at
over.
home.
So it's important that we give people the option, and that's what the plan does. The plan will give people the option of taking the bus, rail, even walking, cycling if you want to, and that's very important for a vibrant city like Lagos.
Or even the ferry service can also.
And the ferry service, sorry, I forgot to mention the ferry service. That's very important also. Given that we're surrounded by water.
Yeah.
So that's a critical part of the master plan.
So at what point in transport infrastructure provision would you say the transport system has become optimized?
There are 5 points I want to touch on here. And the first one is that it's very important that the transport plan and the land use plan interlock together.
Important.
That's very important, so that people can travel shorter distance and you don't have to travel far. So, people, you have the workplace and the residential areas connected by various modes of transport. Secondly, it's very important that people have access to the stations. So what the plan has done is to ensure that wherever you live, you will have a station within 800 meters of that community.
Okay.
And that's very important. That's what we call location integration. So every community has been integrated into the transport system.
Via the location point.
Precisely. The third one is the timetable integration, because obviously it's not possible to have one particular mode from A to B all the way. Some people just have to interchange. But what we have done, or what the plan aim to do, is to ensure that when you get off at a particular point, you don't have to wait more than 5 to 10 minutes before you then connect the next mode. So that timetable integration is very important.
Is that where the integrated intelligent transportation system comes
Intelligent transportation system plays a role in all of them, and I'll come to that also. Okay.
Why not just give us the details right now?
Oh, okay. The intelligent integration system would ensure that people have information on where they're going. So, for example, if there's a problem on one route, you can switch to another route. It gives you adequate information to enable you to plan properly, and so that you can spend as minimum time as possible traveling, and then more time to your family doing something more productive. A good example is when you get to the station, how long is it going to take for the next train to come? Now, even before you get to the station, you can actually get that information at home or on your phone, so that you can now time, on your computer, you can now time when you can get to the station. And when you get to the other point also, it tells you how long you've got to wait for to connect to the next mode. So these are the various things that the intelligent transport system can.
So back to our list.
The fourth one is the information integration, which I've kind of touched on.
Okay.
But that would enable people to have information on every mode of transport, so that they can connect different permutations of modes.
Okay.
You remember that I said that I will give people options.
Options.
So once you have information on these various modes, you can now connect the ones that best suits your journey.
Okay.
And that's very important in optimizing our system. And the last one is the fare integration, which we all know about. The Lagos Connect card is the start of the fare integration. And once we start rolling out the rail, other BLTs, water transport, will connect them with this card, and so people can just use that card access each of these modes, just to travel from one point to the other. And once you have these 5 components, then you can be said to be approaching an optimized system.
How would an optimized transport system help in ensuring a reliable and highly frequent public transportation between the suburb and the inner city?
Based on the components which I mentioned previously, obviously when you have an optimized system, it means that you have adequate information to make a decision as to what you want to do, where you want to go to, and at what point you want to get to that particular point in time. And with those information, especially when you're doing business, it's very easy to plan when you want to depart from a particular location to another location. And it's very important that the ITS system, which is the intelligent transport system, is used to give people this information so that we can remove the human error and give people reliable information. And with that, people can rely on the system to actually do the business, move goods around in an efficient manner, move themselves around in an efficient and effective manner, and the system becomes predictable. And that's the point. That's the reliability that you want. That's the reliability that you want from the system. Once you know what the system is going to offer you, you can do anything. You can plan. You can decide to have like 3 or 4 meetings in a day, unlike today where you only do 1. But it's that reliability that's important. And the key to driving that reliability factor is the intelligent transport system that we've been talking about.
Okay, so let's talk about how the agencies of the government and operators, transport operators, assist in attaining the optimized transportation system for Lagos.
Okay, let me say that in developing the plan, it was very important to get the key stakeholders on board.
Okay.
The Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Physical Planning, everybody that has a stake in transportation. We also got the travelers on board, travelers from different communities. And that was important because we wanted to know what their issues were. And based on the issues, how we can now meet their needs, their mobility needs, etc. So the consultation process was very important. And when you look at most of the projects that we're doing, the Mile 12 to Ikorodu, the Blue Line, we always engage the stakeholders, we engage the public, we engage every ministry. So everybody's involved from the beginning, and then as we go through the project, when there are issues, various people come together and then give solutions. So it's very important to carry them along. So that's part of our process now. The project, the plan, everybody gets involved in developing it. It's not something that's done by Lamata, but everybody.
You're still on to Lamata Afar. We'll take a break and return to take questions and comments from our audience.
You're welcome back to the program. We are still discussing promoting optimized transport systems for Lagos State, and we still have Dr. Frederick Oladende, Technical Advisor, Transport Planning, Lamata. And it's time now to speak with our audience. We've had our say. Now is your turn to talk to us. So the floor is now open.
This strategic transport master plan, in a layman language, what does it mean?
The strategic transport master plan is a plan for the future. I'll give you an example. Today, we have 20 to 21 million people, and in about 10 to 20 years' time, we're going to have about 40 million. So the infrastructure today is not going to be able to cater for the people, the 40 million people in 20 years' time. So we need to plan the additional infrastructure required to transport the extra 20 million from one point to the other. So the plan puts in place the different infrastructures that would cater for different kinds of people that are still coming to Lagos, those that have not been born yet, that would join us in the next 15, 20 years, etc. So it's just a plan for the future.
When is the commencement of ITX and how effective is it going to be?
We are planning to commence ITS from next year, and ITS is large and it's going to be rolled out in phases. So for example, when we roll out the new BLT from Ikorodu to Mile 12, obviously we would roll out the passenger information system that would enable people to know when the next bus is coming. So it's going to be a gradual phase. The first one will roll out next year, and then over time there will be other systems that will roll out. But let me say that the Connect card is part of the intelligent transport system, and that has already been rolled out. So there's been a little bit that's been rolled out, but gradually, we would step up the process, and then over a period of time, the whole system will now be controlled using ITS.
So how many of you have the Lagos Connect card? Nobody? Not even one person? Okay, I have good news for you. You're all going to go home with a loaded Lagos Connect card. Courtesy Lamata. Thank you very much for being a part of the program today. We really enjoyed your presence.
Please share your final thoughts on the topic with us.
Sure. In developing an optimized transport system, it's very important that the citizens of Lagos State participate in this development. We're here to serve you. We want to hear your issues, what you want us to incorporate into developing this system. Let us come together and develop it together, because at the end of the day, it is your system.
Thank you for being with us on the program today.
Thank you.
Join us again after the break.
Lagos, my home. With Lamata, Lagos is changing for the best.
You are the best partner in helping us keep Lagos moving. Here are some of the comments you sent us over the week. The first one is from David Olusegun Roberts, and he says, "Nice platform. Looking forward to great information through this platform. Archbishop Roberts." Thank you so much, Roberts. Another one from Taufik Atolagbe, and he says, "Hello, Lamata. We need BRT bus from Ikorodu to Adeniji Adele Place. Eko ni bajeo." Thank you so much, Taufik, for your comments. We would like to assure you that the Lagos State government's plan is to ensure that there is public transport available everywhere in Lagos State. And that explains the current BRT extension from Mile 12 to Ikorodu. And when operation starts, you'll be able to board a bus from Ikorodu down to Lagos Island. Thank you so much again, and keep sending your questions, comments, and remarks to any of the following contacts. Thank you again for joining us on the show. Lamata is preparing you for the Lagos of tomorrow with a better economy, increased productivity, and world-class facilities, because the upgraded transportation system that the Lagos State government is building will aid the growth of our megacity.
And we are not intimidated by the scope of the work or the enormity of ambition. Like Robert G. Allen said, "The future you see is the future you get. We've seen the future. Now we are diligently moving towards it." I am Obafemi Craig.
And I am Kate Harmony. Lamata.
Keeping Lagos moving! Lagos, my home. With Lamata, Lagos is changing for the best. BRT